Welcome back to the Utah Fishing Channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about why I love fishing in small streams, and I'm also going to share with you when I think the best time of the year is to fish in small streams. Also, just a really quick announcement. Lately, I've been doing my best to post videos on Mondays so that you know when to come back and check for new content. Moving forward, things are getting a lot busier for me and my family, so I just want to suggest that you hit the bell icon next to the subscribe button. That will help notify you when we post new videos, because it may be on Mondays going forward, or it may just be when we can post new videos. But the plan is still to continue to produce quite a bit of content. It just may not always be coming out on Mondays. Thanks again for watching. All right, so today I'm going to be fishing in a small stream in Utah. Hopefully going to show you why I think small stream fishing is one of the most exciting types of fishing you can do in the state of Utah. We got a nice cloudy day. Spring is just around the corner. It was warm yesterday and it's a little bit colder today, which sometimes can slow the fishing down, but I'm hoping it's not too cold yet that the fish have slowed down a little bit. But this time of the year is like my favorite time to fish because the water is a little bit murky, as you can tell. When the snow starts to melt, the water color changes a little bit, so it's a lot easier to sneak up on the fish. And they're looking for things like worms, so a worm fly will work really well, sow bugs, things like that. Most of the fish are going to be concentrated in certain areas, and so you can tell pretty quickly whether or not it's going to be a good fishing day, because you know most of the fish are going to be right along this bubble line, and they're going to want to be in some water that's somewhat deep, not moving too quickly. So it's just really easy to find out if the fishing's going to be good or if you need to move to a new spot. Because if you cast, 10 or 12 times and you're not getting any bites, you probably want to move forward a few steps. For me, it beats just sitting along the bank or on the ice just waiting for fish to come. I like it when you can move around and try different spots. It takes a little bit more work to catch your fish, but you get to explore more scenery and just go places where most people don't go. Most people aren't going to be walking up a stream in the middle of a mountain somewhere. So, I mean, you got a lot of space to spread out and fish on a small stream. I'll go try that hole down there. I'm moving kind of quickly today because I only have about an hour to fish. There's not a ton of cover on this fishing hole. Well, there's a little bit right there. Wherever there's a tree next to a deeper spot in the stream is usually a really good spot to fish. Fishing on small streams is a lot more like hunting than it is like casting as far as you can for fish. Usually once you find fish on small streams, they're pretty hungry, but the hard parts are sneaking up on the fish and not spooking them. And also sometimes you can cast into the bushes and trees, and so it's kind of technical, but I like it because you get to move around and you're not just waiting for something to show up. I think there's a fish right here playing with me. There he is. Oh, he is a tricky one. There he is. Stay on. Oh boy, he's trying to get away going downstream. Looks like it's a brown trout. One thing I've noticed is that fish in small streams are usually a lot prettier than some of the stocks trout you find in lakes and ponds. Okay, little buddy, let's get you back in there. When the water's murky like this, it's not a bad idea to stay in one spot and catch a few fish out of the same hole too, because they don't get as spooked. It's so pretty. Just some awesome spots that you find while you're fishing on a stream like this. Okay, there's one. No, come off. This one's a cutthroat. A lot of the streams have multi-species in them, which is awesome. It's super awesome where you can catch more than one type of fish. These cutthroats wiggle a lot more, it seems like, than the brown trout. Just look at that guy. All of his beauty. Oh, there he goes. There we go. Just a little guy here. Some of these fish are really small, but they're just beautiful in their colors and their fins. We're coming up on my favorite time of the year to catch fish in small streams. The water gets high and murky, so a lot of people think it's not a great time to go fishing, but it's a time when something like this, I don't know if you can see it, something like this works really, really well. Bright colored worm in the murky water. The fish are still hungry. In fact, they're probably hungrier than normal because spring's starting to pick up and winter has been probably kind of hard on them. So they're really hungry. They just can't see as well because the water's not as clear, which kind of gives you an advantage when you're trying to sneak up on them. So you can catch fish sometimes that are like right in front of your feet because they didn't notice you. Using something like this, if you want to use bait, you can use worms where that's legal. There's just a couple of things I think that you should remember when you fish small streams. One of them is that they're a lot more, I think, delicate than your average fishing pond or lake. You just want to be careful that you're not just harvesting like tons of fish. Obviously pay attention to the regulations, but even then be careful when you catch and release that you're getting the fish back in the water as soon as possible. Most fish don't survive very well if they've been out of the water longer than 15 seconds. So get them back in the water as quickly as you can. If you haven't done any research on how you can catch and release fish without doing too much harm to them, I'd highly suggest that you watch our video that we did on that topic, which is called How to Catch and Release Fish Without Accidentally Killing Them, so you can learn a few tips on how to properly catch and release, especially trout, when you are planning on letting them go. Like I said, a lot of these fish are wild and some of them are in their native range, so I personally really want to protect them because catching wild fish beats catching stocked fish any day for me. They're just prettier. Learn when the spawning season is of the trout that you're targeting so that you can know to avoid their spawning beds. They're called reds. They're just spaces of clear gravel where you can tell the fish have kind of cleared off a space to lay their eggs. Usually for brown trout, they spawn in the fall, for example, but their eggs sometimes can stay there all of winter. So you just want to be careful that you're not stepping on those spawning beds. From my experience, the best time of the year to fish for trout in small streams in Utah has been between March and May, when the water is a little high, so you have to be careful and just stay in shallow water or on the edges. Using night crawlers or worm patterns, worm flies, whatever you want to call them if you're a fly fisherman, have shown the most success. If you want to know more specifically about some of my favorite places to go small stream fishing in Utah, you can join us on Patreon, where I'll give you more detailed information for patrons on where I like to go and what I like to use.